You are listening to the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. We're here with you tonight, this morning, however you want to look at it, wherever you are, anywhere on the planet Earth. Hello, and thank you for being with us as we are here. There was really not a lot of material today at all, and as it usually happens, it always seems to happen on a day when I actually, am in the mood to do a show. So luckily that worked out. So I just said, well, screw it. I'll just work on some other stuff and do my thing there. And of course, as always happens, you get engrossed in working at something and the clock becomes irrelevant. That's how I work. I mean, that's why my show is on at such crazy, wild times, because I really don't work with a clock. It's funny, man, when you... sometimes I just sound like a nut, even to myself. I tell you what. But I do. I sound like a nut to myself sometimes. Because, you become so immersed when you're researching this stuff. And it's, when you take it as seriously as I do. And you've studied as much as this stuff as I have. My God. I've just poured through documents and everything else for so many years and studied mind control and the way the whole thing works and operates. And then I, studied that methodology and following back mind control and seeing that, it's nothing new. It's been going on for thousands of years. As long as there's been people, there's been some form of mind control going on. And a lot of it, of course, has been based around religions. But I think, when you really get down to time, it's the concept, this perception of time and our perception of it really has almost been manipulated to become a form of mind control, hasn't it? It certainly isn't something that is designed to make us more free. That's kind of the way you begin to look at things after a while, Is this designed to make me a freer member of humanity, or does it serve to make me less free? And, more and more, when you look at everything and weigh it in that, it doesn't look good. So when I work on this stuff, I prefer to just work on it. I don't prefer to worry about what time it is or worry about, it's just, See, for so long, I tried to do my show on at a certain time, and I did it for a long time at like 11 o'clock in the morning and all this weird stuff. But I was fucking miserable during those times, and I realized a while back, it's not a new revelation or anything, but I realized a while back that, again, it's that trying to conform to a clock thing. I think sometimes it causes us a lot of grief, a lot of misery, and because it's not it's artificial, it's not real. Things just don't always work. Some things work great in that concept, Some things do work well in that, but other things, it's like, you can't put a time, this thing where, you're supposed to be creative and do your work and whatnot in between these certain predetermined times of the day, between this hour and this hour of the day, 9 to 5 or whatever it may be, and the rest of the time, what? That's the only thing you're productive. I mean, it doesn't work that way all the time. It doesn't work that way in every situation. And that's really supposed to be one of the joys of living, is living your life in your own unique way. But more and more, everything is designed to make you not do that, because they want everybody to be the same. They want us to all be cloned obedient little children, that all believe the same thing, all like the same thing, and it's just not. It's not natural. It's not how it is. People are different for good reason. People should be different. That's what makes us human. That's what it's one of the few things that's actually good about us. And that's one of the scariest things of all of this, is this continual push towards uniformity and conformity as the accepted norm. And when you start to weigh the beliefs that have transformed in the alternative research communities, whatever you want to call it, type thing, and you weigh it in those terms, it starts to become very clear what's going on, doesn't it? Because this thing of doing away with individuality, whether it be individuality in cultures or skin color or whatever it may be, it's total homogenization. And anything that seeks to serve the total homogenization agenda, you should not want to have anything to do with. Because that is the essence of basically systematically weeding out of the system any kind of creativity. And sounds awful close to, something out of the Matrix, weeding the anomalies out of the system. And that's that to me is one of the most dangerous things. Hey, look, I don't just get up here and preach this stuff. I mean, I live my life in a very unusual way, very differently than anybody else I know. And yeah, it's I'm looked at as a weirdo and everything else, but that's the whole thing. If we're always going to be afraid what somebody else is going to think, and we just live our lives the way everybody else does, just to be like everybody else, if you can't even not do that, how do you expect to change anything in the world at all. You can't. So that's the first step. So, let your freak flag fly, as they say, and, be proud of who you are. That's what I'm saying. But, so, if some people aren't with that or don't get that, I'm sorry, but I think I've needed to say it for a long period of time. I don't think I've really iterated that. I'm never going to do this show anymore at a set specific time. I might do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon sometime or 10 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? You never know. But when you hear music for a sustained period of time on the stream, that means there's a show imminent. So I'm not going to try to put time restraints on any of this stuff anymore. I'm going to work on the films, work on stuff, script writing, research, that kind of stuff like I was doing tonight. I'm going to work on my rock business stuff. And I would work on my research and all the other things it entails to do this. Shipping stuff to people. It's always something to do. But I'm not going to, just every day it's this constant nagging thing in my head where I feel like I can't do things I want to do or I can't work on stuff I want to work on or whatnot because, I have to find some time in there to do the show. And I don't like feeling like that. I'm not going to feel like that. So from now on, it's been that way for a while, but I just want to reiterate it to people so people know what's up, especially people that haven't been listening very long. People don't understand, why do you do a show at, in the middle of the night or in the early morning or whatever? Again, it's just because I'm not looking at a clock. I'm immersed. I'm working on stuff. I basically work until all day and all night until I'm just too tired to do anything anymore and I go to sleep. And I get back up, I do the same thing all over again. That's, there's not a time card for me or a paycheck at the end of the week. I just do it 24/7. And with your help out there, I just continue on. And every day we make more and more headway, more and more progress. Things continue to get bigger and better. And I'm excited about all of this that we're going to do in the future. But we've got now just about 69 hours left. 69 hours left from right now on our Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3 Indiegogo fundraiser there at my website where this broadcast is initiating from tonight. TheGlobalReality.com. That's TheGlobalReality.com. 69 hours left to fund this film. The rest of what we need, we already did get some initial funding for it, which we have been using to shoot what we've gotten done so far. This is to get the rest of what we need, because we had to burn unnecessary resources on the last trip due to things out of our control. But that's how it happens, man. That's one thing I've learned. And you can ask the people to go with me, my crew. I mean, they commend me every time for my job at planning this stuff out. I mean, I run a tight ship. I have it all mapped out. I spend weeks before we go on a trip mapping all this stuff out, right down to the penny. I'll look and crunch numbers on what gas prices are across every state we're going to, and I'll have fuel costs and everything laid out beforehand. I mean, it's nothing is left not planned. But when you get out there on the road, there's unexpected things happen. Things are out of your control, weather events. Just who knows what, especially when you're trekking across multiple states like we do. We try to make every efficient use of every resource that we get. So when we do these treks, we don't just, trek out to one site. Most people shooting a documentary that have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend, they'll go out to these places one at a time to shoot. They'll spend several days at one site just shooting that one site and then take the rest and edit it back later. Then another time they'll go out to another site, spend 2 or 3 days there. We don't do it like that. We keep, we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars or History Channel budgets to do this. I'm grateful beyond words for what we do get, believe me. But we're basically running and gunning, man. It's run and gun. I mean, you drive for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles to get to a site, and then you get there and, you just got to pray that the weather's going to be good that day. Because if it's not, you can't get the gear out. These things get wet just a little bit and they're fucked. So, but we've been really lucky with weather stuff on all last of our trips. We've been really, really lucky. With the exception of, well, no, I wouldn't say that, I guess. On the last one, it was bad. Snowstorm in fucking Denver was insane. And sandstorms in Arizona and New Mexico. And when I say sandstorms, I mean like coming over the radio telling you to get your ass off the road bad sandstorms. I mean, it was I've never seen anything like that snowstorm or that sandstorm. It's wild. But we go to, 5, 6, 7 states sometimes at a time per trip. And we do these in like 5 or 6 days. I mean, crunch the numbers on that. I mean, it takes almost a whole day just to get across the state of Texas from where I live in Dallas. I don't live in the sticks, man. It takes almost a full day to get across, especially if you're going west. You can get out of Texas, but for about an hour towards Oklahoma and all that. But if you're heading any sort of west, it takes almost a whole day. This is a gigantic state, man. We're bigger than a lot of countries. It's wild how big this place is. I've lived here my whole life, and I've gone to a lot of fucking places in Texas, and I'll never see all of it. There's no way. You have more of a chance of seeing the whole country than you do to see the whole state of Texas, really. It's insane. But we cover a lot of ground in these trips, and with Volume 3 here that I'm working on, just what we shot already is mind-blowing every time I work on it. And now that I see where it's really going, it's really the most exciting thing. I can't even believe this is my project. It's so exciting, especially with the super HD, ultra HD resolution cameras and Zeiss lenses and stuff like that we're using now. It's just fantastic. But we have 69 hours left on our fundraiser for Volume 3. We have a lot of fabulous perk packages there, $25, $100, $1,000, $3,000, and $5,000, which is our biggest one. I'll get you under the executive producer title, co-executive producer title. They already have one person. So that'll get you credit there. But we have all those packages and those perks there. But what we also have, there's a button there. If you go to the page, if you click on the banner from my website, there's a thing that says contribute now. Well, if you click that, there's a thing that opens up where you can put in any amount you want. So I don't know if people are quite aware of that. Although I was hoping people don't think that, the ones where the perks are at are the only options for amounts, because you can put in any amount you want. And also, if you want to contribute an amount that isn't listed under the perks, you can use that button to put in any amount you want, and depending on how much it is, how large it is, and what size it is, I will determine. Even though it's not a dollar amount under a pre-listed perk, depending on what the amount is that you do contribute, you will still get a perk package from me. So, in other words, if you don't want to do the $1,000 level at 3 and you don't want to do the $3,000 level at 4 and you're comfortable at 2,000, you can put that amount into the Contribute Now button there from the Indiegogo page, and then I will select an appropriate package perk package for you at that amount. So just want to make that clear to people. Don't let the fact that you don't see a perk listed for the amount that you want to contribute stifle you, because I am willing to work with you on the amount that you contribute. So bear that in mind. So please go there, and we probably won't. This is Friday, so we probably won't have another show until Monday, and I don't know if we'll have another show by the time this thing ends. So this will be my last announcement, my last possible chance to tell you to go there and contribute now if you haven't yet, and get that done sometime in the next 69 hours. So I guess sometime before Monday at some point. So yes, right now is a good time. Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Start getting any closer, farther past that, I don't know. So bear that in mind. Please help us out. We're planning to go back and go out and start shooting more in the next few weeks, pending what we're able to get here. We need the entire amount of that goal would be perfection. Then we'd be able to get everything done that we're going to get done. Because we're, as I said, a lot of this stuff, we've had some unexpected stuff come up, unexpected sites, as I've talked about, some stuff that people have just, sent me emails about and said, I have this here on my property. Oh my gosh, can you help me figure out what this is? And some of these, one of them is Alabama. One of them's in like South Dakota. One of them's in 5 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours south of here, south of Dallas. Another one somewhere else, but they're coming in so fast and heavy now. It's just blowing my mind, because it's a reaffirmation that there's still so much in this country, just in the United States, that still hasn't been discovered, and still people don't know about. And since people are finally waking up to what the Smithsonian and other groups have done in wanting to conceal and hide this stuff, people are now, amazingly for me, wanting me to come and investigate this stuff and document this stuff. And that's it's just huge. It really does prove that we have been heading on the right track with these films. I'm so proud of these films. They're my finest work. I don't think they've been seen enough by enough people yet. I really don't. I think they've been really criminally underlooked for the amount of information I put into these films. I challenge you to find anybody else who's put as much information out as I've put out in these two films. Really, I could have stretched these films out and probably made them 10 or 15 hours long. But I really condense and pack the information in there so you get a lot of bang for your buck. Volume 1 and Volume 2 combined, I've released those in the past year, and they're both almost 6 hours in length combined. And Volume 3 is going to push that amount well over 9 hours total for the 3 volumes once Volume 3 is done. Because Volume 3 is going to be probably just shy of what Volume 1 was. It's going to be at least 3 to 3.5 hours long. The second one I made shorter so that when people are eventually watching these one after the other, the information can be absorbed better, and you can really see how far down the rabbit hole goes. Because continually in these, we're going to continue to get deeper and deeper and deeper, and more unbelievable things are going to start coming to the surface. So I've kind of been easing people into it. Volume 1 was really the main introduction to this, but now, since so many reaffirmations of what we've been onto have now come to light, it's really starting to make this whole series of films way more interesting than I ever thought it would be. And I never, like I said, I've never dreamed it would tie right back into the whole spectrum of research that I had done previous to this. I didn't think any of that stuff would come into play. And now that I look back on it, it's unbelievable, because it seems like all of that, I did all that and researched all that and worked on all that stuff for all those years to get me to this point where I am now, where, you know, we're really starting to get to the heart of what the secrecy and the cover-ups and all this stuff have been all these years, why it's been put in place there to begin with. And there's definitely going to be, I mean, there's, like I said, there's some stuff that we're going to have in here I can't even talk about yet, because I don't want some of these, you know, History Channel guys. I mean, we've seen case after case of them obviously paying attention, listening to my work, and monitoring what I talk about. And so I'm just not going to be showing all my cards anymore. I've got to keep some stuff for myself. It sucks, because when I want to, you know, I want to tell you about it, especially when I'm trying to get you to contribute to the film is, but I just, anymore, I can't put out everything that we have. Needless to say, there's some really insanely amazing, awesome stuff that we're going to have in Volume 3 that, you know, again, falls under the category of new discoveries, new finds, new info. I mean, stuff that nobody's put together yet. And it's further reaffirmations of everything else we've already covered in Volume 1 and Volume 2. And unbelievable new revelations that just show that everything I've been onto with all this has been the right course of action, the right path, and we're seeing more. The last couple of trips that we did for Volume 3 to shoot were all like, I mean, it was full of that. It blew my mind, and I'll be honest with you, it takes a lot to blow my mind anymore. It really does. But on the last couple of trips that we went out to shoot, it was mind-blowing. Because there were signs that I was on the right track and had been on the right track for a long time, popping up everywhere around me, to the point where sometimes I wouldn't even catch it. I wouldn't even catch it. Somebody'd have to point it out, and I have to go, oh my God, that proves me right even more. And, you know, yeah, it does. See? It's wild. And that's one of the things that is exciting when you go out to shoot. I mean, it's grueling out there, I got to tell you. I don't like being out there I have to be out there on the road away from home. I'm a fucking cancer, man. I'm a homebody. I like to be, you know, I don't really like going out there and staying in hotels, motels, and, you know, eating whatever crap food you can find and all that stuff. I mean, it was fun the first, you know, once or twice, but we've been on so many of these now. It's kind of lost its luster a little bit. You know, it's not quite as big adventure feeling anymore, but still, you know, it is once you get to where you're going, you know, once you get to the place. I mean, going to the Serpent Mound and stuff for me in Cahokia was just, those were unbelievable places. I never thought I'd get to go. And we're going to be covering a lot of ground on the 33rd degree parallel in Volume 3. We're really going to be breaking down really what that's all about. Because honestly, right now at this stage in the game, even though I know a lot about it, I don't really know a lot. Or I didn't know a lot. But I'm really going to get into all the information behind what the 33rd degree parallel is exactly. And why is it important? And what does it mean? And because there's so much information surrounding it, and there's so many things. I'll tell you the best that I can tell you right now. It's some sort of spiritual energy band that is multidimensional. That's really all I know about it right now, in a nutshell. but I'm going to expand on that and show why that is the case, undoubtedly, in Lost Secrets of Ancient America, Volume 3. So, again, go check out our Indiegogo banner there at my website, theglobalreality.com. Click on that. It'll take you to the page itself, and then you can get in your contributions there. And again, if you don't see a dollar amount there listening to the perks that you like, you can go to the Contribute Now button, select your own, and depending on how big it is, I'll select a perk package for you that will be comparable. So there you go. Please go there and help us reach our goal, folks, so we can get this done. Because I just, I don't want us to get to Monday and we don't reach our goal, and then we're twiddling our thumbs what we're going to know, wonder how we're going to finish it. Because it's too big, too good, and too important for us, and we've just come too far at this point to stop. Here's an interesting article. 10 ancient civilizations that history forgot. Much like Isaac Newton imagined when he gave his famous shoulders of giants quote, our modern civilization owe a great deal to those who came before us. Now, let's stop right there. Now, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting to start out your article about ancient civilizations with a quote from Isaac Newton about standing on the shoulders of giants? If I have seen further, it is by standing on ye shoulder of giants. Or if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's interesting because Isaac Newton was called the last of the Sumerians. That was his nickname. That's what they called him. I'll talk about that in Lost Secrets, Volume 1. He certainly knew about the giants themselves, and that's really what I think that quote, in essence, really means. Standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's really, in a nutshell, a great summation of all civilization. And that's something you find when you dig as deep into this as I have. Number 10, the Hadean civilization. This is the top 10 ancient civilizations that history forgot. The Hadeans were a civilization which inhabited the area of present-day Anatolia in Turkey from the 26th century to around the 18th century BC, believed to be the earliest urban settlers of the area. Their existence can be traced to 24th century Akkadian cuneiform tablets. So this was... the Hadeans were definitely one of the many Anunnaki colonies that are talked about in the ancient texts. Most archaeologists believe that they were indigenous to the area preceding the more famous Hittite civilization, which arrived in the 23rd century BC. The two cultures slowly merged together, with the Hittites adopting a variety of Hatti religious beliefs and practices. Many of the largest Hittite settlements, such as Alaka, Hoyak, and Hatsua, were believed to originally have been Hadean. Well, I have to say, I almost couldn't even finish that paragraph without saying this. What website is this from? Listverse.com. Boy, I have to say, for this to be a pretty, mainstream article, I'm shocked that they're even mentioning some of this stuff. Because these are ones people really don't know about, and as I'm reading this, I'm just realizing, well, goddamn, no wonder these are the most unknown ones. When you look at the history of all these ones we're covering here, yeah, it's clear because the evidence of those people, again, points in the direction of the stuff they're intentionally trying to keep covered up. While they had their own spoken language, no evidence of a written form of the Hatti language has ever been found. It's likely that they were multilingual, perhaps, to facilitate trade with their Assyrian partners. In fact, most of what we know about the Hattians comes from the widespread adoption of their culture by the Hittites. Their population probably existed as a majority for decades, if not centuries, while they were under the aristocratic rule of the Hittites before they eventually faded into obscurity. And yes, we're talking about whole bloodlines being wiped out, Number 9, the Zapotec civilization. While most people are familiar with the Aztecs and the Maya of Mesoamerica, the people known as the Zapotec remain relatively obscure. Among the first people in the area to use agriculture and writing systems, they also built one of the earliest recognized cities in North America, Monte Alban. Founded in the 5th century BC, the city was home to a maximum of 25,000 citizens and lasted for over 1,200 years. In Monte Alban, a privileged class made up of priests, warriors, and artists ruled over the lower classes. Like many of the civilizations of Mesoamerica, the Zapotecs subjugated the surrounding areas through a mix of warfare, diplomacy, and tribute. The Vinca civilization, Europe's biggest prehistoric civilization, the Vinca, existed for nearly 1,500 years. Beginning in the 55th century BC, they occupied land throughout Serbia and Romania. Named after a present-day village near the Danube River, where the first discoveries were made in the 20th century, the Vinca were a metalworking people, perhaps even the first civilizations to use copper. They excavated the first mines in Europe. It isn't amazing, though? Every one of these, all of the ones we read so far, every one of these you can trace right directly back to the Amorites. Every one of these. Though the Vinca people had no officially recognized form of writing, examples of proto-writing symbols which don't actually express language have been found on various stone tablets which date as far back as 4000 BC. In addition, they were artistic and fond of children. Archaeologists have found various toys such as animals and rattles buried along with other artifacts. They were also extremely organized. The houses of the Vinca civilization had specific locations for trash, and the dead were all buried in a central location. Number 7, the Hurrian civilization. Oh, well, shit. They're getting into more Hittite stuff here. This is stuff I can't even believe they're mentioning this. Again, these are civilizations that when you get into them and study them and really learn about why they were important, you start to go, oh, that's why they don't want this mentioned, Because it gives you another piece to the puzzle. And again, this is no coincidence here, folks. All of these civilizations, the ones that make this top 10 list of the top 10 ancient civilizations that history forgot, it's funny how many, overabundant amount of these all were what would be considered Anunnaki cities. Cities that were set up by the gods on Earth when they were here, in which humans lived and worshiped these gods in these cities. And again, the Hurrian civilization is another one, number 7. Another civilization which influenced the Hittites was the Hurrian people who lived throughout the Middle East during the 2nd millennium BC. It's probable that they were around even earlier than that. Personal and place names written in the human language were found in Mesopotamian records dating back to the 3rd millennia BC. Unfortunately, very few artifacts of their civilization exist. Most of what we know about them comes from the writings of other cultures, including the Hittites, Sumerians, and Egyptians. One of the largest of their cities is known as Urkesh. Again, you talked about and all of that in the ancient Sumerian texts. You have the city of Urkesh, named after one of the other Anunnaki gods. Again, this is why these cities are in the top 10 list of ancient civilizations that history forgot. They haven't been forgotten. They've been intentionally wiped and deleted and omitted from the history books So there's nothing forgotten about them. They've been intentionally kept out off the record. Again, when you read those names, Urkesh, I mean, that right there gives it all away if you've spent any time reading these ancient texts or listened to any of the shows where I've read them. Urkesh is also where the earliest known text in Hurrian, a stone tablet and statue known as the Louvre Lion, was found. Long believed to be mainly nomadic, scholars now believe that the Hurrians may have had a much bigger impact than previously thought, mostly due to the way their language differed from another Semitic and Indo-European tongues. However, by the end of the second millennium BC, nearly all ethnic traces of the Hurrians had disappeared, with only their influence on the Hittites left behind. The next one is the Nok civilization in Nigeria. I'm going to skip that one. I'm not going to read all these. The fifth one is the Punt civilization. That was another Egyptian one. Norte Chico civilization in South America. And this actually is a very interesting. And Norte Chico, number 4, beginning with its arrival during the 3rd millennium BC and lasting for over 1,200 years, the Norte Chico civilization dominated South America as the oldest sophisticated culture on the continent. Named for the region of present-day Peru which they occupied, they had 20 major cities with advanced architecture and agriculture making up a large portion of their settlements. They also developed intricate irrigation systems, sophistication which was unheard of in the Americas at that time. Artifacts recognizable as religious symbols have been found throughout the area, especially near the stone pyramids for which the Norte Chico civilization is famous. There was some debate over whether or not they qualify as civilization, as well as what that term even means. Usually indicators like a form of art and a sense of urbanization are key, but the Norte Chico civilization possessed neither of these. Whatever the case, there is no denying that they were an influence on later South American cultures, such as the Chauvin civilization, which began a few hundred years after the fall of the Norte Chicos. And again, here's another one that plays right into the that was considered to be an Anunnaki city, the Elamites. We've talked about the Elamites quite a few times on the show through the years. Number 3, the Elamites, although their name for themselves was Haltam, the name Elam comes from the Hebraic transcription of the word. The Elamite civilization consisted mostly of land inside present-day Iran, along with a small portion of Iraq. One of the early civilizations, it was founded sometime in the 3rd millennium BC and is by far the oldest in all of Iran. Situated along the border of Sumer and Akkad, the land of Elam was similar to its neighbors, although its language was altogether unique. Although they lasted as an independent kingdom for at least a millennium, if not longer, very little is known about them because Elamite scribes were not concerned with documenting their mythology, literature, or any scientific advancements. Writing was mostly seen as a way to honor the king or perform administrative duties. Due to this fact, they made a rather small impact on the development of future civilizations, especially when compared to the Egyptians and Sumerians. Now, I love how they're trying to play down the Elamites. Well, the reason we don't know a lot about them, and yes, they did have lots of written languages. The Elamites were the ones that were responsible for the Behistun inscription, which is in Iran. And now go ask yourself how they were able to inscribe that thing and do the etchings and all that on the side of a mountain. Go look that up. Behistun, Behistun, I believe is how you spell the Behistun inscription. Look that up. I really think that we're trying to downplay that a lot. We don't know a lot about that civilization because they're one of the missing link civilizations. And of course, with it being in Iran, you start to put the pieces together on why we've been boogeymanning Iran for so many years. The powers that be want their dick fingers all over what's in Iran. That's why you've heard, we're going to bomb Iran. Iran's got nukes. You've been hearing that for 30 years. That's the reason. Make no mistake about it, folks. You can double check me on this if you don't believe me. This is an absolute fact. The richest, most undisturbed archaeological sites left on the planet are where? Iran. I mean, we're starting to see this more and more as a trend. Because I think it's funny that in countries where some of the richest archaeological sites are that really could unlock the secrets of our past on this planet, it's funny, they're always traditionally in fucked up, war-driven, war-stricken, dictator-driven countries. Think about it. You really think it's a coincidence? Think about it, folks. It's not a coincidence. Why do you think Iran has been the boogeyman? And because they have the ability to bring the whole world system crashing to the ground just from what they've got buried under the ground in their country. And they want to do to Iran what they did to Iraq and let the military contractors come in there and bulldoze ancient sites and grind ancient tablets into the ground and into pieces to set up base camps. That's what they want to do. North Korea. Why do you think there's North Korea? You can't even get in there. Yeah, there's ancient archaeological sites all over that thing. China. Russia. Russia's chock full of stuff. Cuba. Cuba has something like 18,000 undocumented archaeological sites, untouched. Venezuela, full of stuff. Everywhere around the world where we're told is a threat, Yemen. Every country, folks, that we're told is a threat just coincidentally happens to have archaeological treasures that the powers that be and the Smithsonian and the United States government and the Queen of England and everybody else hasn't got their dick fingers on yet. And those are the countries we are told are the terrorists and the evil countries and everything else. It's not a coincidence. It's not my imagination. You can look this up and verify this for yourself. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Turkey, Syria. Crunch the numbers, folks. Wars are not about what you think they are about. They are about stripping whatever the indigenous culture is away from that so they can go in and give themselves the right to take over ancient sites, destroy them, confiscate artifacts. This is the homogenization of the past history of this planet to fit the agenda of its current occupant rulers. All this, it's about oil or it's about this, and it's all been lies and fronts to keep you from figuring this out. Number two, the Dilmun civilization. I mean, again, this is another one. Every one of these is, some sort of Anunnaki-related city or civilization, rather. An important trading civilization in its heyday, Dilmun encompassed an area consisting of present-day Bahrain, Kuwait, and parts of Saudi Arabia. Again, oh yeah, all these ancient civilizations, they just lie. Or everywhere they've ever told us, even back in the 80s, Kuwait is an evil empire. Remember Poppy Bush? Think about it, man. They've been running this game on us for decades, and we've just been buying it hook, line, and sinker. Every country with the richest archaeological proof of our past on this planet and who we really come from is in the planets in the parts of the world where we're told are the biggest threats, where the terrorists come from, where the evil people come from. This is not a coincidence. Although very little concrete evidence has been found as of yet, scholars believe that a few sites named Sar and Qalat al-Bahrain are ancient settlements of the Dilmun people. SAR is being investigated, but a large number of artifacts that have already been found there date to the 3rd millennia BC, leading credence to the theory that it was built by the Dilmun civilization. Dilmun was a major commercial player in its day with control over the new Persian Gulf, trading lanes, and a communication network that reached as far away as Turkey. Numerous water springs flow all across the area, which researchers believe may have led to the legend of Bahrain being the biblical Garden of Eden. Numerous water springs flow all across the area, which researchers believe may have led to the legend of Bahrain being the biblical Garden of Eden. In addition, Enki, oh my God. Yeah, when I'm right, I'm right. In addition, Enki, the Sumerian god of wisdom, was said to have lived in the underground springs. Described as the place where the sun rises. Yeah, where the sun rises, S-U-N. It should be where the S-O-N rises. The place where the S-O-N rises is what it should be. The place where the sun rises. Dilmun played a large role in Sumerian mythology. According to legend, Dilmun was the place where Utnapishtim was taken to live for eternity. Again, 9 out of 10 of these, or whatever it is, 8 out of 10 of these are all Anunnaki-related cities, which makes this whole premise for this list, 10 ancient civilizations that history forgot, bullshit. Again, these civilizations were not forgotten. They have been intentionally omitted so that you don't start to piece together the real truth on your own. But, the genie's out of the bottle now. Number 1, drum roll, please. Number 1, the Harappan civilization. The Harappans, again, Pakistan, Mohenjo-Daro, that whole thing. Also known as the Indus Valley Civilization, the Harappans were a group of people who lived in parts of present-day Pakistan and India. Gifted with the idea that planning cities in advance would be a good idea, their urban areas were second to none. Unfortunately, due to what scientists believe to have been a massive century-long drought, their culture slowly declined, never to rise again. This is currently nothing more than a theory, but it helps explains other cultural declines in the area as well. Beginning sometime in the 25th century BC, the Harappans also developed their own language, a script with nearly 500 different characters, which has not been completely deciphered even today. Their most noteworthy artifacts are seals, usually made of soapstone, which depict various animals and mythical creatures. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro are the 2 biggest Harappan cities, with the former labeled as a UNESCO heritage site. When it collapsed, the ruins of the Harappan civilization provided a template for the various other cultures which sprang up after it. It's interesting. It's an interesting list, and it's sad, and it sucks that the average person can't look at this list and realize its importance and realize really what the point of it is. And the point of it is that when you look at exactly what has been omitted from our history, it's those kind of things. It's the things that, upon study and upon research, would give one the tools to be able to show that what we've been told about everything, from religion to science, everything, it's all bullshit. Who we are, where we come from, evolution. And they're going to continue to try to keep the lid on this, and it's going to just continue to come out. And I think, I've said this for the longest time, I think eventually they're going to try to use the alien thing to try and, I think they'll end up admitting to a lot of this, but only to a certain point and a certain degree. But I think at some point, they're going to tell us that we were we were spawned from aliens or something like that. I'm sure at some point they're going to play that card. Byzantine ancestors of tablet computers found in Yenikapi diggings. This is interesting. Yenikapi excavations that started nearly 10 years ago has brought back Istanbul's historical heritage to 8,500 years. A wooden notebook, which has been found in a sunken ship, the replica of which will sail, is considered the Byzantines' invention akin to the likes of the modern-day tablet computer. During archaeological excavations, experts have also found striking information on animal culture, such as the meat of many animals like horses and wild donkeys were eaten in the ancient era. Remains unearthed in the excavations drew great attention not only in Turkish, but also in world archaeology. The remains have survived as organic products, which greatly impressed the scientific world. Within a project carried out by Istanbul University, the goal is to set the sunken ship, christened Yenikapi 12, to sail again. The ship will be able to float by the middle of 2015. Speaking about the remains, the project team member, Associate Professor Yufkak Kokobus, said that they had found organic products in Yenikapi area, which was known as Theodosius Port in Byzantine. A rare discovery. He said 60% of the sunken ship had survived in a preserved condition. This was the first piece which we have searched for as a doctorate thesis. Now we have information for the construction of the missing parts of the ship. Considering the amorphas in it, the ship route was the Black Sea. We estimate that it dates back to the 9th century and engaged in trading from Crimea to Chersonesos. A section of the ship drew our attention. We found very interesting objects belonging to the captain and crew. Calling the objects the miracle of Yenikapi, in one of the ships we found something like today's notebook. It is made of wood and can be opened like a notebook. It has a few pages and you can take notes using wax. Also, when you draw its sliding port, there are small weights used as an assay balance. Yenikapi is a phenomenon with its 37 sunken ships and organic products. I think these organic products are the most important feature of the Yenikapi excavations. And again, this ties in right with what I've been saying. I mean, this is part of, they're really getting into examining shipwrecks and more stuff now, looking underwater. It does seem that there's some sort of race to find something that's buried. And I want in on this action. You know what I mean? He said that they had reached the archaeological excavations even 28 meters below the sea level, which is unbelievable. The route that we are planning for vehicles will start from Bucleon Palace. Significant pieces could be unearthed there. And again, these, just continue to push back these datings, 8,500 years. That puts it right at the, really right at the beginning of when civilizations were starting to pop up again after the big flood. So that's definitely a incredible find, incredible information there. And that little box thing that she took notes in, like box within a box. Stuff like that, and the Antikythera mechanism found off the coast of Crete. I'm sure there's probably even more out there we haven't ever found, and probably never will find. Well, we're going to leave it there for tonight, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us. Again, we just have 69 hours left for the Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3 fundraiser, so please go there and contribute now, sometime between now and Monday, so we can get it done. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. You guys have yourselves a fantastic weekend. We'll see you back here Monday night. Take care.